So I'm watching a video the other day, last night, and I'm laying in bed, and the two videos I come across are Grant Cardone, and Grant it was one speech that he recently posted, and he's talking to some people, and he shows a picture of the old house he used to live in Lake Charles. And so he shows a picture of a little duplex, and he said, y'all don't understand, but I think it was when he was in his 20s, he said, back in my 20s, I struggled to pay a $275 a month rent. I was always late. And then he shows a picture of his big ass jet that he has today. And so I listened to that, and then there's other videos that come up in the feed, so those videos come up. So there's another one that's an interview that was from many years ago. And the guy is talking to him about the recession. And it's a very candid interview. And Grant says, during that time, during the recession, a lot of his friends, they folded because they were doing things they shouldn't have done with real estate. And he said, my businesses started crumbling because the economy was crumbling. And he said it was to a point where the economy was folding. And he said, I was on the hook for $50 million to a bank. And he said, then I have these other guys that I was thinking about getting into a partnership with, and they're suing me for $60 million. And I'm looking at that, and I'm thinking, this was the same guy that many decades earlier struggled to pay a $275 a month rent. And here he is, his businesses are folding, are struggling, I should say. The economy is folding. The banks are calling the loans due. They're pressing him, trying to get him to do something knee-jerk. Plus, he's getting sued for $60 million. So that's $110 million right there. And you look at that today, and I'm like, God, I couldn't imagine the pressure of $50 million and then $60 million coming at me in a lawsuit. But not too long ago, relatively speaking, he struggled to pay $275 a month. It just goes to show you that at that time, man, that was hard for him. $275 a month was hard for him to come up with every single month consistently without having to be chased down for it. But the hard that he faced all through his life to get his businesses going, to get his real estate businesses, all of these different things, you see hard ramps up, and it's always going to get harder. But hard is preparing you for things to come in the future. So as it slowly ramped up as time went on, by the time he got to having to owe a bank on the hook for $50 million, and then having a lawsuit, having to face that for $60 million, even though that was the hardest it had ever been, it had prepared him for this moment. My point is this: I know you don't want it hard, but you've got to have it hard. Hard is preparing you for so many tougher things to come in the future, whether it be a health scare, whether it be a financial crisis, whatever the case may be. The hard is going to be there. And hard is preparing you. Hard is training you. The situations you look at right now, dude, that's the hardest it's ever been for you, because you've never faced something like this before. I've talked to my son in high school, and he talks about how things are hard, right? You talk to your kid about how hard it is, and you almost laugh at him because you're like, bro, you have no idea. But back when you were that age, that was hard for you also. And then, I was talking to a friend the other day, and they were telling me about all this debt they had. And I said, well, I finally cut them off. I said, what kind of debt do you have anyway? And they said, I owe $4,000. And I laughed. I'm like, that's it? $4,000? But see, that's hard for them because that's the most they've ever owed. So the hard feels like that you're being suffocated. It feels like you're being choked out because this is the hardest it's ever been for you, but it's not the hardest that it's ever going to be. Hard is training you, man. And I know you don't like it, and I know it's distasteful, and I know you look at other people's circumstances and you think, well, yeah, but they have. No, it's all relative. Hard is all relative. The hard that a billionaire faces or a millionaire faces, they face hard in their own right. The hard that you face is just as hard as the richest man in the world. It's hard. They face hard. We all face hard, but we have to deal with it in certain circumstances. Don't run from your hard, man. Don't numb yourself with drugs and alcohol from the hard. The hard is going to come at you. It's not a question of being fair or unfair. It's just a situation what it is. It's life training you. They're training grounds and breeding grounds to get you better. Grant said, had I not had the hard back then and the hardness of how hard it was in sales and to get a car career because he started off in the auto industry, had he not had that prepared him for 50 million. A car salesman got prepared for a $110 million battle. 50 here, 60 here, million. Had he not had that hard, he would not have been trained, been ready to bring the banks on. And he worked his way out of it. Hard is coming, no matter whether you want it or not. Don't resist it. Embrace it. Understand it for what it is. It's preparing you. You always hear the saying, you'll never get more than you can handle. Handle it. Handle it. It's the uncertainty that you don't know about. It's, I don't know how this is going to shake out. Fuck it. However it shakes out and how it shakes out, you do your part. You take on the hard. You say, fuck, I don't know what to do. Start doing. Do something. Don't numb it. Don't run from it. Run at it. Bring that hard on. Because you know what? You're harder. You're bigger. You're the shit. Have an amazing day. Have an amazing life. Stay in the sales life.